Hey everybody, it's Nathaniel Avila reporting from Dallas County, and I'm here with Ruby and some other person from Dallas, also Dallas County. And who is our guest here today?
Our guest is Steve Garcia,
What up?
and he is an artist. I said musician, but I'm not sure. Do you play an instrument?
Yeah, I play a little bit of guitar, but you'll like never see me do it live because I'm not that good
Uh,
yet.
I think,
Yeah,
yeah.
You're probably better than I am because I still can't even bring it out to practice. So
Oh man, no,
good
I
luck. Keep doing that.
I
Keep
also
pursuing
play
that.
piano by ear a little bit.
I would
Oh,
I
that's so
would call
awesome.
I would call beat makers musicians.
Yeah, are you
Yeah,
a beat
absolutely.
maker?
Yeah, I mean, I produce, I make beats, I write, I engineer recording sessions, the whole nine. So every little
Okay.
aspect I'm involved in
Okay,
Serenity,
perfect.
can you be like a little bit more closer in because you're kind of really cut off.
it.
See?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Come closer. No, he's talking about Serenity
Oh,
being
okay,
pulled
okay,
out of the thing.
gotcha.
There you
Oh,
are.
she
Okay.
doesn't want to be near me. She hates me.
What's a
Okay, so
mistake?
yeah, we have Steve Garcia and as our guest, and today's theme is a fun one. I think it's 80s slasher films.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but before we go into that, I wanted to give Steve's just a little bit of information on him. As like we said just now, he dabbles in a lot of stuff in the music industry. Just recently, he put on a show at the Carne Asada.
Hey, shout out.
Yeah, shout out Carne Asada. That is a music and food festival that was created and coordinated by my friend Sonia Kilo, our friend
Yep,
Sonia Kilo,
And
shout
Steph
out.
Erickson.
and Stephanie, Jeanette, and it
Oh,
was
Jeanette.
such a great turnout. And Steve put on a great show. I mean, he got people up there lit AF on stage, raging,
Yeah.
and he got people taking tequila shots and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was
blast.
really fun to see him perform.
And we also just got final cut approval on a documentary about the event.
Yeah, Nate shot
Nice.
that event while we were all there working. We were
Right.
working and having fun.
Yeah.
And so that you guys will see that pretty soon because that is actually. Are you putting it in the festival circuit first, Nate?
Yeah.
It's gonna do the festival run first, and then everybody will get to see it once he releases it. Once it's done doing the festival run.
Awesome.
So stay tuned for that, and then also Carne Asada Part Two is coming up, and we'll be there as well. So are you very excited for that?
Yeah, I'm super excited for it. I know that, from not to give away details, but I just know that it's going to be twice as big as time. So it's
Oh
really
yeah,
exciting to see
yeah.
it all come together, and as we get closer to the date, more promotion content and all that coming on. So it's exciting.
It is very exciting because I've already heard some of the lineup and it is crazy.
Yes,
So
yes. The
I'm
names
very
floating
excited.
around are awesome. So it's really really exciting.
Yeah, and you guys can follow all the updates on IG at carne asada underscore fest,
Yes.
to get all that information. Speaking of music festivals, I wanted to, before we get into our 80s slasher films that we all picked, I wanted to go over some things um, about what recently happened at the Travis Scott concert,
Man.
Astroworld event. It was
Mm-hmm.
very sad, because like 8 people died. What
Yeah,
do
I
you,
heard.
how crazy is that you go to a concert, you're so excited and you're so happy, and then you end up dying? Like, that's over
It's
Travis Scott. Over Travis Scott at
it's a
that. Like,
scary thing, man. I mean, like I was reading other articles about previous shows and festivals where, I mean, same sort of situation where people have gotten hurt over going to see Travis Scott because his music's like it's turn up, like you're there to
no,
like
it's his
party,
fan
like
base
you know
though.
what I
His
mean.
fan base is like really crazy.
And fan base is really young as well.
Yeah. So speaking of which, like the people that died, they were as young as 14 years old, and the oldest was like around 27.
Yeah,
So,
so
um,
a lot of young people.
yeah, 25 people were transported to the hospital. 13 of them remained hospitalized, and 5 of them were under 18 years old. There was about 50,000 people in attendance. They said that once Scott came on stage, people ran to the front, compressing everybody together, and there was little air available. So people began to fall out, becoming unconscious, and in some cases they were trampled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were saying that hours before that, at least one person was injured when people rushed through a VIP entrance to the event. And then 2 years prior, at the same Astroworld Fest, there were 3 people who were trampled and injured.
Wow.
So, I mean, this seems to be a reoccurring thing at
Yeah.
Astroworld, and I'm not sure why they didn't, like, knowing this has happened before, I'm not sure why they didn't take the proper precautions, safety precautions.
Right. Yeah, you would think that would be a given, right? Like,
Right, a main concern.
I was seeing things like people were telling like the cameramen like, hey, there's somebody
Yeah.
getting hurt down there, like they need help. Apparently people were telling security like someone over here can't breathe or whatever, and they just completely like ignored them.
Yeah, they were
Right.
telling them to stop the concert, and they
Mhm.
wouldn't.
And they were even trying to get Travis Scott's attention.
Well, at one point, to be fair to him, I did see a video that came out, and he actually stopped and was like, "Hey, someone over here needs medical attention." And
Oh, he did?
yeah, I just saw it. I was sitting over here on the couch a while ago with my girlfriend, and we were looking at this video, and yeah, he stopped and he was like, "Hey, someone over here needs medical attention." And then, I mean, I guess he started going again after that, but he at least.
Well, I was gonna say, did he just continue on, or
Yeah,
what?
I think he did after that, but I mean, who knows? Really,
Yeah,
I mean,
because
my
that's
brother was
so-
there. My brother was there. He flew down from Sacramento, California, all the way down to Houston for the 2-day festival, and then just for that to happen the first night, and then the second night got canceled.
Well, I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah, no, he was in the way back. Like he wasn't in the front.
Yeah, and the
he wasn't
craziness.
good.
Yeah, that's good. We were like sad about not even getting to go because I wanted to go see
Yeah,
that.
I wanted to go too.
I wanted to go see Bad Bunny.
He had invited me, and I was like, you know what, bro? I was like, I just something about it. I don't feel right about it. And
That's that intuition.
Yeah,
so,
crazy.
for real, I was like, thank God, because knowing me, like I would have wanted to try to get to the front. Like that's just the way I like to be at concerts. Like I like to be at the front, and getting hype with everybody else. So,
But listen, I've done that too, and nothing like this has ever happened at any other event. I mean, we were just at Shaky Knees, 2 weekends ago, and that's like, rock and roll and, raging and, moshing, and nobody got hurt there. I mean, we were watching freaking Idols, and Idols is like real hardcore punk rock, and,
well,
it's
like
they were throwing shit like beer and stuff, and nobody got trampled or nobody passed out.
I mean, and it goes back again to like the young demographic that is Travis Scott's fan base too, and not saying that they're all irresponsible or anything, but there's probably a handful of people that incited this too. And then there was apparently a security guard got like injected with some like random drug.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
Yeah, he was giving medical assistance to somebody, I believe, and he said while he was like trying to help out that he felt a prick on his neck.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he just passed out, I guess, and they had to give him Narcan, which is like that overdose medication that's given to people when they do that. And I mean, they revived him, but yeah, I mean, it just confirms that someone was out there also like just drugging people, and probably people didn't know. Maybe
that is so ugly. Oh my god. Okay.
It's scary, man.
Well, I definitely want to send my condolences to all the families who lost someone, because you don't think that that's going to happen when you're going to a music festival. So it's very sad. So that's why I wanted to take the time to just, go over that. And hopefully people will have better, music festival, music concert etiquette. When you keep that in mind after this happened. I mean, it's sad that it had to happen. But, I hope that it teaches everybody some kind of a lesson.
So Travis Scott is not invited to the carne asada.
No, we're
Try
gonna
to-
have Cardi. Say ho, Cardi.
Yeah, we're gonna get Cardi there.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my god, yeah, Travis Scott, you're not invited to that.
We're getting Cardi.
Another thing that I wanted to just quickly go over, because I feel like it's important that we always use our platforms, and it was another thing that bothered me this past week. Just saying a bit about how, because we haven't done an episode in a while, and it was recently National Coming Out Day.
Mhm.
And I know for a lot of people, it's very hard. It's a very hard thing to do, to come out.
Okay.
But it's an even harder thing for the youth, for young people to come out. And some people may still be very uneducated, and they'll be like, well, why do you need to call it, coming out day? Why do we need to celebrate that? And it's just because for so many years, it's been a whole hush hush thing. Like, we don't want
Right.
to know. And if you are, just don't bring it up. Like, I still have family members who can't fully come out and tell the family, they'll just be like, oh yeah, this is my good friend, and probably because his parents, don't want him to, and he's
Yeah.
been silenced his whole life. So I just wanted to say that when it comes to LGBTQ youth, you have to understand that it's something that's very hard for them, and they will try very hard not to be who they are, which can get very dangerous, and that's only because they worry so much about what the other side of society has said,
Right.
the anti
Repercussions and all of that.
yeah, and the uneducated people that don't know, or don't want to know about it. So if there's another thing where people are like, they won't know, they don't know that they're gay, because they're so young. And it's like, you should use this rule. If you think they're old enough to know that they're heterosexual, then they are most definitely old enough to know that they are not.
Absolutely, for
So,
sure.
yeah. So then I just want to say that if you have an LGBTQ youth in your family or friend, whatever, it's important that you give them as much love and support, because they really do need it.
Sure.
All right. All right. So let's get into the good
Thank you.
parts. Let's get into the fun wackiness that is our podcast. And we have some pretty good slasher films that we're going to talk about, that we're going to review or give our opinions on.
I'm interested to hear your pick. I'm very interested to hear what.
So-
you
Yeah.
I shall
Well, we
go.
normally let the guests go first.
Oh yeah,
So do you want to go and talk about yours first, or do you want to
yeah, let's
wait
hear it.
and see how we review our films, or what do you want to do?
You guys go ahead and do it
All
first.
right.
So I want to hear your guys' as well.
All right.
Okay.
So
That's
I
fine.
shall
Go-
go first.
Go ahead, Nate.
We're gonna go back. Where'd the other person go?
The other person. She's invisible.
Huh?
She's washing her mouth. She's got all the candy on her mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back in time to the 1980.
Best era ever.
It's debatable, and we're gonna go to New York City,
All right.
which is what this flag is.
Oh, okay.
It's the New York City flag.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What the
The
hell?
more you know.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go back in time to watch the 1980 erotic thriller by Brian De Palma called Dressed to Kill. Bum,
All
bum.
right. All right.
So let's go. So here we go. We start off with a sexually frustrated housewife, Kate Miller, who was played by Angie Dickinson, is attending therapy sessions with New York City psychiatrist Dr. Robert Elliott, who was played by Michael Caine. During an appointment, Kate
Wait, is
attends.
that the English fellow?
Yeah, he's British. He has a South London accent.
British? Okay.
See.
Yes, but he's an American in this one.
Okay.
So, Kate attempts to seduce him, but Elliot rejects her advances, as he states that he does not want to jeopardize his happy marriage. So Kate goes to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where she unexpectedly flirts with a mysterious stranger. Ooh.
That's how you get yourself killed, girl.
So Kate and the stranger stalk each other through the museum until they finally wind up outside, where Kate joins him in a taxi. They go to his apartment and they do the nasty. They go at it.
That would definitely only happen in that time because
They
that
do
would
the do.
not happen today.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So hours later, Kate awakens and decides to discreetly leave while the man, Warren Lockman, that's his name, Warren Lockman, who is played by Ken Baker, is asleep. So Kate sits at his desk and leaves him a note and finds a document indicating that Warren has contracted a sexually transmitted disease. Which
That's
is
un
gran bro momento.
which is very reminiscent of the decade. So,
Yeah.
shocked, she leaves the apartment, but having hastily forgotten her wedding ring on the nightstand. Oh no!
He leaves. I would have killed that man. I would have woke that man up.
Really? You would be the one doing the killing?
I would have woke up and been like, "How come you didn't tell me you had an STD?" motherfucker?"
Okay, so she goes back to retrieve it. So the elevator doors open on the figure of a tall, blonde woman in dark sunglasses, wielding a straight razor, who violently slashes Kate to death in the elevator. Brr, brr, brr.
What? This movie sounds crazy.
Mhm. So upon discovering the body, another lady named Liz Blake, who is played by Nancy Allen, who is a high-priced call girl, who notices the killer in the elevator's convex mirror and subsequently becomes both the prime suspect and the killer's next target.
Typical.
So yeah, Kate's done. She's dead. We're not seeing her again.
So the first main character we see dies.
Yeah, she's dead. She's gone.
Oh, finito.
Now it's all about Blake.
Okay.
So
the one that has the STD.
No, it's about the
No,
sex
he died
worker.
when he STD already, so he's good.
Yeah, we never see the STD guy again. Also, so Elliot receives a bizarre message on his answering machine from Bobby,
Oh.
who is played by William Finley, who is a transgender patient.
Why is that hung?
Because I imagine that transgender characters were very rare back in the 80s,
Mhm.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
Bobby taunts the psychiatrist for ending their therapy sessions, apparently because Elliot refuses to sign the necessary papers for Bobby to get sex reassignment surgery.
Mm.
So Elliot tries to convince this other guy named Levy, who is the patient's new doctor, and Levy is played by David Margulis.
Is it Levi or Levi?
I pronounce it Levy. It might be Levi. That Bobby is endangering herself and others. So, Police Detective Marino, who is, I believe, played by... Who is he played by? Denise Franz. Doubts Liz's story, who is the person who saw it, and she's the call girl. Liz's story partly because of her profession, that she's a no good sex worker.
That automatically makes her a liar.
Yeah. Yeah, and we know actual sex workers, right, Ruby?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Sex work is real work.
Mm-hmm.
Are they liars or no?
I don't think so. I never heard them lie.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that your profession really can't tell whether someone's a liar or not.
Yeah. And I don't think they would lie about witnessing a murder. So
I don't know,
Liz...
man, I feel like I would. I'd be like, you know what? I didn't see anything, man. I don't know what I saw.
Yeah. So Liz teams up with Kate's revenge-minded teenage son, Peter, who is played by Keith Gordon, who is an inventor to find the killer. So they team up.
Okay.
So-
Some Riverdale stuff.
Mhm. So using a series of his homemade listening devices and time-lapse cameras to track patients leaving Elliot's office, they catch Bobby on camera.
Hey.
And soon, a tall blonde in sunglasses starts stalking Liz,
Mm-mm.
subsequently making several attempts on Liz's life. Oh no! Peter thwarts one of them in a New York City subway by spraying Bobby with the homemade mace and pow, punch him in the face. So the pair scheme to learn Bobby's birth name by getting inside Dr. Elliot's office. So Liz baits the therapist by stripping into lingerie and flirting with him. Ooh.
Worst.
Oh, Serenity's shaking her head. Why are you shaking your head for?
Because I can.
Do you disagree of their methods?
Yeah.
How so?
I would have just put out the Glock 49.
Some people are a bit more subtle than you are.
Yeah.
I would have just lied and I would have been like, if you gave me the information, I will give you an erotic dance. And then they give me the information. I'm like, okay, psych, bye.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think your erotic dances would be that great, Ruby. I think you might be really bad at it.
I wouldn't have done it. I would have just lied.
Okay. So, distracting him long enough to briefly exit and look through his appointment book. So, Peter is watching through the window when a blonde pulls him away. Oh no! When Liz returns, a razor-wielding blonde confronts her.
Yo, hold on. How strong is this blonde? Like,
the blonde killer, the transgender person?
Maybe you're right.
It is?
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, let's find out. So the blonde
You're ruining my story.
So the blonde outside shoots and wounds the blonde inside. So there are two blondes.
An outside blonde and an inside blonde.
Yeah, and the outside blonde shot the blonde inside. Outside blonde shot the inside blonde, knocking the wig off and revealing the razor-wielding blonde as Elliot!
The transgender.
The doctor.
Oh, the doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, snap.
You gotta forgive me because my memory is like, so I'm going through like an ADHD diagnosis right now. But my memory is shit. Just telling you right now.
Yeah. So the blonde who shot Bobby is actually a police officer, a woman police officer, revealing herself to be the blonde who has been trailing Liz earlier. So Elliot is arrested and placed in an insane asylum. Now Levy explains later to Liz that Elliot wanted to be a woman, but their male side would not allow them to proceed with the operation. Whenever a woman sexually aroused Elliot, Bobby, representing the unstable female side of the doctor's personality, became threatened to the point that he actually finally became murderous, which is what transgenderism is. Right, Ruby?
So do you see why this is connected to my message earlier? It can become very dangerous when you're closeted because you don't want to come out. So, yeah.
Do you think that's how transgenderism works, Ruby? You basically have two personalities inside you?
No, I don't think that's the case for everyone, but I mean, I could see how it would be like that maybe for some people because they're still like trying to force themselves to not be, who they really feel like they are.
So when Levy realized this through this last conversation with Elliot, he called the police on the spot, who then, with his help, did their duty. So in their final sequence, in the last scene of the film, Elliot escapes from the asylum after strangling a nurse.
What?
And slashes Liz's throat in a bloody act of vengeance. But she wakes up screaming. Peter rushes to her side, realizing that it was just a nightmare.
Oh, they did that kind of an ending.
Yeah,
huh?
And that's how it ends.
Okay. They were trying to make it seem like there was going to be another part.
There's a possibility of a second part.
Yeah. So the naked body in the opening scene, because there was like a scene earlier in the shower, it was not of Angie Dickinson, who played the character of Kate, but of 1977 Penthouse Pet of the Year model Victoria Lynn Johnson. So
she was a double?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So De Palma originally wanted Norwegian actress Liv Ullmann. Is it Ullmann? Yeah, Ullmann to play Kate Miller, but she declined because of the violence.
Oh.
When I get famous, I'm going to have J-Lo play my body double.
Yeah, I'm sure J-Lo would do that. So, and the role then went to Angie Dickinson. Sean Connery was actually offered the role of Elliot and was...
R.I.P. Sean Connery.
Yeah, and was enthusiastic about it, but declined because of previous commitments. Connery later worked with De Palma in the 1987 Oscar-winning adaptation of The Untouchables, and De Palma called the elevator scene where Kate got killed is the best murder scene he has ever done. So there's that.
Sounds like it's a movie full of plot twists, which I love.
So, so the film actually led to controversy and protests upon its release. When the film was screened in Iowa City, National Organization for Women and members of other feminist organizations picketed the film as it was shown in the University of Iowa, distributing leaflets against the film, condemning what they saw as a depiction of violence against women as entertainment.
Oh.
What do you think?
Okay. Well, yeah, I would.
That's understandable.
Yeah. That is understandable.
You can see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
How so?
Especially back then.
How so?
Well, yeah, I mean, because they don't want to be depicted as someone who just, entertains, because they've been seen as forms of entertainment for, men to use for since forever.
Right.
So during the film's initial release, the activist group Women Against Violence in Pornography and Media distributed a leaflet arguing that the distorted image of psychotic male transvestite, which is misspelled in the leaflet, makes all sexual minorities appear sick and dangerous.
Yeah.
That's a common thing for sure.
All right.
Well, that's definitely understandable. Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you agree with that notion? From
I do. Even though I don't think that was the intended message of the film, I feel like the intended message of the film was what I said, before, that it's very hard for anyone really in the LGBTQ community because they have to deal with everything that's in their head,
Yeah.
Sometimes they only have to deal with it alone. Like, they don't have the support and the love that they need.
So,
yeah, because the ones that you mentioned, like with like split personalities, I guess, like I feel like those, I can see that happening too, just because of depression, mood swings, whatever it is, like that, the stress of it all, right? Like I think that can lead to it.
Yeah, it can be very dangerous for the individual, like mentally. And that's another thing that no one really had talked about back then is, how important mental health is. I mean, they're barely starting to talk about it now. So I feel like if they would have taken care of mental health a lot more back then we'd be in a much better society now. But that's not the way that it went.
So numerous critics have since placed Dress to Kill in a lineage of slasher movies that perpetuate the transphobic myth that trans people are mentally ill, sexual predators. So
yeah, I wondered what that movie was about because I was scrolling earlier and I was looking at all the like movies that are on Peacock right now. That happens to be one of them, but I didn't get to see a trailer or anything. I just saw the cover.
Yeah, I never saw Dress to Kill, but it sounds really good. So where can we watch it, Nate?
You can watch it. I believe you can watch it on Peacock. Let me double check.
Is Peacock free? It is.
It is free. Yes, it is.
So yeah.
Oh, actually, no. It's not on Peacock. It's actually on Cinemax.
Oh, okay.
You can watch it on Cinemax. Yeah. So Dress to Kill was also featured in a 2020 documentary called Disclosure, which is about transgender representation in media. So in the 2020 reappraisal of the film for The Guardian, the critic Scott Tobias referred to De Palma's understanding of trans issues as disconcertingly retrograde. There's no getting around, this is his quote, there's no getting around the ugly association of gender transition with violence other than to say that it feels thoroughly authenticized. So what do we think? Do we agree with Tobias?
I don't think so, but
you don't think so?
Well, he's saying that the film makes it seem like that, right?
Right.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree how they could see it that it would look like that.
So let's see what De Palma himself has to say about this whole thing. So in a 2016 interview, De Palma actually said, "I don't know what the transgender community would think of the film now. Obviously, I realize that it's not good for their image to be transgender and also be a psychopathic murderer. But I think that perception passes with time. We're in a different time. he added that he was glad that the film had become a favorite of the gay community, which he attributed to its flamboyance.
Well, that was my initial thought. Like, just like Steve said, like that, I was, happy that they even had somebody, from the LGBT community in there, because that was not a thing that they normally did.
Even if it was
there was very little representation,
Yeah, and if it did, just kind of to the point of this movie, it did show them like in a crazy or sick manner, like, you know what I mean? So definitely back then they were represented in a very odd way.
So I believe there are 2 different versions of the film you guys can watch right now. An R-rated version and an unrated version.
Oh man, you gotta watch the rated one, the R-rated one.
No, you have to watch the unrated one. That's the best version.
The unrated one?
Yes. The unrated one is the most explicit out of the 2.
Oh, okay.
You can't. It's such. They got probably such bad images in there or something that they can't even rate it.
So when a film is unrated, then that means that it was so bad that they couldn't rate it.
What happened?
It's normally
like R-rated was like the worst.
No, it's normally like they'll add like something else, like with R-rated there would be like foul language or maybe like I don't know, nudity, and then unrated would be like that, and then gory scenes, and then some other stuff probably on there. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. So like how the rating system works in America with the MPA is that every studio does need to like present it to the MPA to get its rating, which is like their G, PG, PG-13, R, whatever. But there is one rating that is above R, which is considered to be worse than R, called the X rating.
Yeah, X-rated.
Yeah.
That's the one I heard about.
That's porn, bro.
Yeah. Ever since it used to be of like a very not good, like an acceptable rating, because Midnight Cowboy was X-rated, and that was like an Oscar-winning film. But then the porn industry came in, they kind of repurposed it, and now everyone associate the X rating with porn. So they rebranded it, and it's now called NC-17.
Okay.
But now, if anybody gets if the studios would ever get the X rating or the NC-17 rating, they would view that as unmarketable, and also like theaters have like issues against presenting NC-17 films, so they were like, okay, we have to edit it down so it can be an R rating. So now the unedited version, the unrated version is the NC-17 version, because they just have it as in its original form, and they didn't even get it rated by the MPA, so it's unrated.
Okay.
So
That'd be wild, bro. Like you go to the movie theaters, hey, bro, did you see that new rated NC-17 porno that just came out? Like, y'all going this weekend to see it? Did y'all stream it on HBO? Like, that'd be crazy.
Blue is the Warmest Color is NC-17.
Oh.
I've heard of that movie. I've never seen it.
That movie's weird as hell.
Yeah, it's like a French film.
What's it called again?
Blue is the Warmest Color. It has a very, very pornographic sex scene in it. And so I will tell you actually what the unrated version contains. It's actually just 30 seconds longer than the R-rated version.
Interesting.
But it shows more pubic hair in the shower scene. Woo! And also more blood in the elevator scene, including a close-up of the killer slitting Kate's throat. And more explicit dialogue from Liz during the scene where she's trying to go like fool Elliot in his office. And these scenes were trimmed down with the MPAA originally gave the film the X rating. But so yeah, that's basically the story of Dressed to Kill. You could watch it on Cinemax.
Well, we did say that these were slasher films, right?
Yes.
So, gore and slashing and blood is what you expect. Unless you're watching the 80s version of Halloween, because for some reason they said that there was going to be no blood in there, and it was just weird. It was weird.
Was there really no blood in it?
Yeah, there was no blood in it.
No gore or anything.
In the original Halloween?
In the original Halloween.
Really? Because that was 1978, not the 80s.
Oh, well, sorry. It may not be 80s, but Yeah, it was the first Halloween that they ever made, and you would think that there was blood in there, but there wasn't.
Huh.
No blood.
Speaking of that, let's come to the future real quick. Have you guys seen the new Halloween?
Yeah, it was some mid.
It was mid.
It was
It
some
was
mid.
mid.
What does that mean?
It was so dumb. Like
Rating movies like weed now. It's mid, bro. Yeah.
no, it's because they really kept it like true to the slasher films from like back then, where the scenarios and the killings and all of that are like so predictable. And you know, like when you see something now, like you expect it to be like placed in like updated now kind of like situations.
Like a new format, yeah.
Right, and so they didn't do that. So, but I guess they wanted to keep it that way.
Well, here's the one thing that I've always said about, like, I guess horror movies and slashers in general. Like, I feel like there's only so much that they can do. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like everything is just like you can tell it's about to happen. Like, you see this girl running around the corner, and you know Michael Myers is behind her at one point. It's like, yeah, this dude's about to pop up like right in front of her. Like, you already know.
Yeah.
He just teleports. You know what I mean? Like, it's fast as hell.
Yeah, we were making fun of that. We were making fun of that the other night when we watched it because it's like he's like going out right to where the stairs are, and then all of a sudden he's downstairs. So I'm like, yeah, the behind the scenes must be like him like running really fast.
Have you seen the meme video of where it's Michael Myers and he's like, people ask like how he's like, Mike, how you be like catching up to these white girls when you know they're running way down here, you're way back here, you're slow as hell. He's like, because nobody works harder than me. Nobody. So you got the 5 grades, Michael Jordan, Michael whatever.
Oh my god.
And then Mike Myers.
I get that.
So yeah, who wants to go next?
Okay, Serenity, do you want to go next, or Steve, do you want to go next?
I can go. I'm not gonna be as descriptive as that. I feel like.
Well, we really don't have time to be honest with you, so just
like I think I'm gonna
summary.
give you a quick like high overview of this movie, but essentially this is a film called Prom Night. It's 1980, and it's sort of like I would say it's a slow build up, right? So it's about these. I think it's like 4 or 5 kids. I forget how many in the beginning, but it opens up with this scene of like these kids in a mental hospital or something playing like hide and go seek, and one of the kids ends up getting murdered by accident because they're kind of like bullying her in a way, I guess, or being mean.
Yeah.
Long story short, they're like teens now. It's prom night. They're high school, whatever. And the morning of this day, they're all getting calls from this random person like, hey, like, and they're just saying some weird shit on the phone.
These were the same kids that were in the mental asylum?
It wasn't like they were in it. They were just like playing hide and seek. Like they're not like crazy.
Okay.
It was
like, how'd they get out?
It was an abandoned.
They
it was an abandoned
playing,
convent.
Like,
it was a convent.
An abandoned like mental hospital looking thing. So. Then one by one, like during prom day, like a couple of them are getting killed off, and then at the end,
like some kind of I know what you did last summer type of thing.
And then at the end of it, it turns out that it's actually one of the kids that was there and had been hiding this secret internally along with the other 4 kids this whole time, so it like got to this kid, he felt guilty or something, and he started just killing the homies that were keeping this secret. But yeah, it was a crazy like first 30 minutes. I was just like, what is this? Like, this makes no sense. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, this is getting good. Like, but it's a good one. You guys should check it out. It's the first time I watched it today.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it too, but there's like a newer version.
There's a prom
night. So many like movies now called Prom Night.
Well, so there's Prom Night, and then there's Prom Night 2, which is I think in the 80s as well. I haven't seen that one yet. And then I think there's probably like spin-offs of it.
Yeah, there's Prom Night, then there's Hello Mary Lou, which is Prom Night 2, and then there's Prom Night 3, The Last Kiss. And then there's
the first one, Jamie Lee Curtis I saw was in it.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. I'm trying to think of who else is big in it.
She must have been young.
Oh yeah.
One of the
I
characters,
was,
like one of the
dude,
main
I was
kids.
saying that she looked kind of like Halsey in that movie, like the facial structure that she has.
Like Halsey?
Yeah, like I don't know if it was just me or not, but like I was sitting there watching it,
Yeah.
I was like, babe, I was like, does she look like Halsey to you, like in a way? She was like, what? Like she gave me this look. I was like, no.
Yeah, she was in Halloween. She was in the original Halloween,
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. So Jamie
she
Lee
was-
which was
Curtis,
2 years before this film came out.
yeah.
Okay, so she did Halloween first, and then she did this.
Yes.
Okay, so she was still young. Yeah, she was young. Okay. And where can people watch it now?
So that you can watch on Peacock, and I mean, just to note, to add to that, I mean, she's in Halloween Kills as well.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
in the new ones.
And the
Yeah,
other-
yeah,
I know that for sure.
yeah. But that one you can see on Peacock. It's really good, so I recommend it.
All right. All right, who wants to go next?
Serenity.
Yeah, I'll go next. Chile.
Okay.
There goes the information.
Okay, so I chose Friday the 13th, the first one, the very first one, you know, the 80s one. So, you know, you guys, pretty sure you guys are familiar with Friday the 13th. I haven't met someone who isn't. But you know, it's about a kid who goes to camp or whatever, and he ends up getting bullied.
He went
by
to
the
camp
kid
or
there.
whatewhatever.
What?
Whatever.
Went to camp or whatever.
Oh, he goes to Camp Crystal Lake. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Camp Crystal Lake or whatever.
No, do they show that at the beginning of the movie where he's being bullied and he drowns?
I don't remember if they show it in that.
I don't think
one
they
or not.
show. I think it starts
the
off
first one?
with the camp counselors getting to Crystal Lake because there's another, you know, summer
Hold on,
that
guys.
they're
I'm
working.
sorry. Let me get my life together.
And then this man, like this creepy man, starts telling them about the legend of Camp Crystal Lake, and he
Yeah.
starts telling them how this deformed child drowned in a
Mhm.
lake due to the camp counselors
Yeah,
getting
okay.
busy.
So
Yeah,
it
they're
is.
getting-
It
getting their
starts with
sticky.
his mom. It's his mom, and
Yeah.
she actually ends up going like hunting teenagers. Like, she goes stalks them and murders them before the reopening of the new lake.
Oh wow.
And she does that because of what happened to her son. So
Mm.
So you don't really see the
Mhm.
Jason that everybody is familiar with. You know how everybody knows Jason to be the man, the hockey wearing man.
Yeah.
So you don't see him at all in the first movie,
Mhm.
only as a deformed child, and it's at the very end
yeah.
Mhm.
that they do actually show him. But all these killings that are happening throughout this movie,
It's the
they
mom.
don't. It's the mom, but they don't reveal that until the end. So it's like
Oh,
the biggest
wow,
twist,
wow.
you know.
So, what do you think this film tells about teen sexuality, particularly in
Oh my
Reagan
gosh,
era America?
it's so funny because I literally refer to Jason as the serial killer who kills you for having sex.
Yeah, but it wasn't Jason. It was Pamela. And
Well, but afterwards
yeah,
he
same.
does the same thing.
yeah, it's
By the end,
because like
he always kills
yeah,
the
because
person.
teens having sex was what killed him. So it makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't see that until what was it, the Freddy versus Jason movie where Freddy's like fucking with him and like
Yeah.
trying to traumatize him.
Bro, that movie was just so comical to me.
That movie was all over the place, man. It was crazy.
It was not scary to me. Like I
I
don't
was,
even
I was
see it
waiting on
being
Predator to show up,
horror.
high key.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit! I was like, this is too crazy.
Yeah.
Right, and it's crazy because like everybody associates Jason with being a man and being this, you know, man in a hockey mask, but that's not how it happens. And it's funny because like, so he's already been dead for a while when this is happening with the killing with his mom. You know, she's taking revenge out or whatever.
Yeah.
This is actually the first time that a woman was portrayed as, you know, the serial
The
killer.
serial killer.
Yeah, and they half-assed this movie so badly. They
Yeah,
had
it
like
was
a
super
really
low budget.
super low budget.
So
just
how does Jason come to be then? Like after this film, because I don't remember this at all.
They don't even like give a transition period. Like in the next few movies, they just show him as a grown man, and then one of the movies he ends up like just picking up, a mask to cover his deformed face, which happens to be a hockey mask. So it's just
Right,
like,
but is he like I guess like a resurrected like dude
yeah,
at this
yeah,
point? Like,
yeah, because at the end of this movie, the first Friday the 13th, that's how they end it. They ended where one of the camp counselor escapes by canoeing out into the middle of the river where the mom can't reach her, I guess. And she thinks she's safe, so she's like kind of like, she puts her head down to rest from all the stress and the trauma that just happened. And then they show Jason coming out of the water, but like he's still
oh,
a kid. He's still the kid that drowned, and he's full of like, stuff from the lake, like green all over, and his deformed face, and he's like, dead and rotted up or
oh,
whatever. And he grabs
oh,
her. He grabs her around her neck and like kind of pulls her down.
holy crap, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
And so then in the next movies, like it's so funny because this movie that was so half-assed and like with the low budget and everything, like so many people loved it that much to where they kept making Friday the 13th after Friday the 13th.
I mean, how
And
many movies of that are there now?
oh
There's
my
like
There's a
god.
more.
lot. And it's so crazy because apparently the main character, the girl or whatever,
The mom.
she didn't even want to do the movie like to begin with.
Really?
She literally only did the movie because she needed money to fix her car.
Yeah.
Like she didn't want to do
Shout
it.
out.
Yeah. And then Kevin Bacon is in it.
Well, because I've seen what is it? Is it Jason X, where it's like it takes place in Spain? In Spain, sorry, space.
Oh yeah.
Space is the new Spain. Just FYI.
Yeah, Jason X. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's
5,
12. There's
6.
12 of them.
Okay, there's
Damn,
12. There's
boy.
12. There's so many.
That's
So yeah, and then I didn't even know that Kevin Bacon was in it. And it was so funny because Kevin Bacon and the girl, the other actress, the other camp counselor, that they were supposed to do a sex scene together, and the girl had never done a sex
And,
scene.
and
so
then
she
Kevin
was
Bacon
like,
was like, "Let's smoke some weed."
yeah, he took her
Smoke a
and he was
doobie,
like,
dude.
he put out a joint, and he was like, if you hit this, you gonna feel all right. And
Yeah, girl, you gotta do some drugs,
what
man.
a name. What a name.
weed is not a drug; it's a plant.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so is tobacco.
Tobacco is fine until they started putting all the pesticides
Yeah.
and nicotine in it, sir. Thank you.
Right, oh yeah, okay, you got it. And I think alcohol comes from grain also.
Oh, but alcohol has a bunch of other stuff that they put in there too.
Alcohol
is
is
literally
poison.
poison.
Yeah, it's
Like
poison.
It
that's
is
how you
poison,
throw it
yeah.
up.
Okay, so what else we got?
Okay. Oh my god.
Gran.
Yeah. So it was crazy. That movie was just crazy because they literally said that they made it because they saw how well Halloween did, and they're like, let's just make another Halloween.
They're trying to capitalize on that slasher market.
Right. Exactly. This was the slasher era. So
And did they succeed at it? Yes, they did.
I would say so, yeah.
When did the Freddy Krueger movies, Nightmare on Elm Street, when did those start coming out?
after that too.
After Jason?
Yeah, it came out in 1984,
Yeah.
Oh man.
so it was 4 years
yeah,
after.
and then this movie actually as well, Friday the 13th, got a lot of backlash too. There was like people writing reviews in newspapers and stuff like that saying that they didn't like that they were like mixing sex and violence together. Like they did not like that they were doing that.
These are the devil's movies.
Yeah, all these movies are gonna get backlash. We already know that.
All right.
So I'm gonna talk about mine before we have no time to talk
We
at
have
all.
10 minutes. Go fast.
I know, no, I'm not gonna go into it deeply
Go,
because
go, go,
a lot of
go.
people already know this movie to begin with as well. But I picked Children of the Corn.
Hey, haven't
Yeah,
seen
I
that
just-
either.
1984. This is a horror thriller directed by Fritz Kirches. I don't know how to say his last name.
It's Kiersch.
Kiersch, sorry.
Crochet?
It was directed by Fritz Kiersch, and it was, of course, adapted by a Stephen King novel. We know Stephen King and his amazing
His crazy
novels
mind.
that he writes.
Mhm.
So his novel, Children of the Corn, but it was screenplayed by George Goldsmith, and this is because Hal Roach Studios, which was the first studios who picked it up, they did not want to use Stephen King's screenplay. They said that the first 35 pages that the screenplay script that Stephen King wrote was just
Yeah.
the two main characters, Bert and Vicky, arguing in a car.
Yeah.
And so there was kind of like an argument going on. Like Stephen King was telling the guy who they did get, Goldsmith, the one that they took his screenplay for it.
Mm-hmm.
They were both arguing, and he was saying, well, you don't know what true horror is. And Goldsmith was trying to be as nice as possible to Stephen King. He was like, look, you don't understand that in movies, you only have a certain amount of time and everything is visual, instead of, letting the reader, visualize everything internally. Right. They have to see it visually externally. So that's why they decided to go with Goldsmith's screenplay, which did this, like the point of view through these two children's eyes, because this is another thing that was crazy about this movie, is that the main antagonists of the movie are children, kids.
Okay, yeah.
Like, you would never think that, you'd have to watch your back from getting killed by a kid. But also, whenever Hal Roach Studios sold the project to New World Pictures, they were the ones that actually, the studio, that had the movie out. They did try to remove Goldsmith's name in the credits in favor of King's, but they weren't successful at doing that. So, this film, like I said, Children of the Corn, stars Linda Hamilton, and we all know her as Sarah Connor in the Terminator films.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw her in this, I was like, oh crap, I didn't remember that she was in this. She's young. So it's Linda Hamilton and Peter Horton. They're the main protagonists of the story, and they're basically like in Nebraska, and they're going on this trip because he's going to his first practice as a doctor or whatever, and they made a whole like road trip out of it because they had to travel from afar. And this film is set in Nebraska. Then they start passing like this town that's full of corn stalks. And now this is a film that made me forever scared of going into corn stalks or anywhere near corn stalks. And basically, like, they end up hitting a child that came out like bleeding from his neck in the middle of the road, and they hit the child.
30 points.
Oh my god, yeah. When I saw it, I was like, oh god. But the doctor, him being a doctor, he was already dead before he came out on the road. His throat was slashed.
Yeah. And
so they end up having to stay in this area because they're trying to figure out what happened with this kid. They get misdirected, and they end up just like, going for full circle in the corn stalks, and they end up uncovering that there's no adults. There's nobody over 18 whatsoever. The town is completely like empty. All the kids are like meeting in this cornfield, and all the kids are taking direction from this other weirdly religious, very religious child named Isaac. Mm-hmm. And so this film also like has a like religion playing a big role, which I like a lot because it sends that message that a lot of people can, simply be brainwashed.
Well, actually, I believe that they are actually based off of the Ayatollah in Iran.
What is that?
The Ayatollah, it's a extremist terrorism group.
Oh, what they were actually doing?
Yeah, it was based off of the Ayatollah.
Yeah,
Iran.
Because the whole reason why they killed the adults in town, which they only mentioned once, I only think that they mentioned it in the summary.
Yeah.
Is they're saying that they need to kill all the adults in the town, and there can't be anyone over 18 for there to be a good corn harvest. Which I think is funny because they never mentioned that again throughout the film. And there's literally like all these machines that water the corn and stuff like that. They're not in use. They're not being used. So it's like, okay, so y'all are just killing people to kill people because y'all really aren't doing anything with the corn to ensure that the corn harvest.
Ruby, what do you think about the film being actually a metaphor for the Iranian Revolution?
I didn't think that they were sacrificing people with quote like religious, situations, because this is like them saying that they have an entity that they follow and like worship called He Who walks behind the roles, but it ends up being a demon, and they show it at the end. It ends up being like this monster. So were they
Really?
worshiping a monster in Iran that I don't know about?
No, it is.
Bruh.
It is supposed to be like Goldsmith did say that Children of the Corn is supposed to be a metaphor for the Iranian Revolution.
Yeah, because they're trying to make it seem like they're doing something good, but in reality, they don't know that what these kids are really doing is worshiping a demon.
Mhm.
You know, and they end up showing that at the end, and so they should have thought about it. Also, the kids start turning on each other because, of course, they're immature, and they all want to be, ahead of everything. I mean, the leader and everything. So I'm gonna just say that this gained a very big cult following. Rolling Stones ranked the film at number 7 in their list of top 30 Stephen King movies, calling it a lean, brutally tense slasher film. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more Children of the Corns made.
It's a lot.
Yeah. You can stream it on Tubi, Hulu, Sling TV, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Google Play Movies.
But you have to pay for some of those.
And Apple TV.
It's for only you have to pay for some of those. If you want to for free, go on Tubi. Tubi's free, or Hulu.
Alright.
For free.
Well, that was all of our films.
Yes.
I just want to give some announcements real quick. You can follow Steve on IG at the Steve Garcia. You can follow us at Wacky Talkies on IG and Facebook. That's Wacky_Talkies on IG. Also, Nate, his short documentary, I want to congratulate him. This project is retired. That's the name of the short doc.
Yep.
Currently has 6 festival wins and 1 honorable mention.
Yeah, good job.
And our next short documentary that we both worked on that has to do with JonTron and Eagle Raptors Game Grumps drama will also be doing the festival run soon.
Yeah.
And like we said, we got that carne asada stuff too. So very proud of you, Nate.
Thank you.
You'll probably see his work coming up at South by Southwest as well. He's gonna try
Hopefully.
to get there.
That's wishful thinking, but hopefully.
Well, we gotta manifest.
Yeah, Nate.
Manifest.
Get into existence, man.
Yeah.
I'll try.
But thank you so much for joining us, Steve. Like, we had a great time with you.
Thank you guys for having me. No, it was fun.
Hopefully you did too.
No, yeah, this was fun. This is a new experience for me, so this is great. Thank you so much.
Good luck to you in your future and your career as a musician. We can't wait to see what the future has in store for you.
Sure, we'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah, we will be seeing you soon.
All right, guys.
I've been Ruby.
I've been Nathaniel.
I'm Serenity.
Yeah,
And thank you guys for joining us again for another Wacky Talkies.
All right.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to a Vision podcast, home of Wacky Talkies, The Kingdom, Evil Exists, and many more.